Look! There's a lion! Oh my god!
Hey there, Mahrez is here. Let's see what he does. Mahrez is a buffer for warriors, but to get the best buffs out of him, which is the main reason why you'd want to take him, you need to fulfill some specific conditions. If you do so, you get plus 100k damage cap to all, you get an easy 50% potency buff, and Mahrez himself got a 10 hit move. Sounds good? Well, get your hopes down. Okay, this slide looks scary overloaded with info, but it's here more for context. Look at Isla in the corner and be brave. Mahrez has a latent power, which role is simple. Go through each of the most valuable for you skills once and get a permanent buff for them. If you are free to play, I recommend picking only 2 of those skills to use, since using 2 takes 5 turns, but using all 3 for all 10 turns. Which skills are the most valuable for you depends on what you need. Are you using Mahrez as a DPS? Well, look at the buffs which I highlighted with red rectangles. Are you using Mahrez for support? Then look at this passive and decide which effects you need here. In my opinion, the 50% potency buff is quite replaceable if you can use a dedicated potency buffer or Octopath EX, but the increased crit multiplier is great for Dark Knight. Lion's Heart by itself is replaceable too, but you get it from a skill which raises active attack and soul damage buff limits to 50%, and I don't think there's a unit which can replace that yet. And finally, the 100k damage cap passive. The most annoying one. All around great buffs, but the 6 warrior requirement is debilitating, absolutely, but we'll return to it. Now let's look at a couple of active skills. They are mid for the most part, but some are nice. The ult reduces latent cooldown to 0, which allows to immediately use the next latent skill. It also sets up the bonus for the EX skill. Honestly, it looks weak as hell, even with the double potency, but I can't really test it out, so who knows. The rest of the skills are some buffs, some BP regen, some extend the line buff, which is borderline useless. It enhances some skills on Mahrez to be less shit, but that's it. Now let's try to build this unbelievable 6 warrior team. That's my attempt, and I still don't know who to use as a 6th warrior. And the fact that I can only use 2 characters who are not warriors is a huge problem. One must be Media, just for her sheer DPS and ult buff value, irreplaceable. Second, the most intuitive is to use Shanna, but like that we don't have any ult debuffers. Instead, you could try to rely on Signa for ult debuffs, and on Audio for Undying. Even though he kills a unit behind him, Dark Knight still needs to kill people, so it could work out. But that doesn't help to solve the 6th warrior problem. I just don't know what warrior would be useful here. You'd think it's logical to use Elrica with him, but not really, she's behind the curve for quite a while already. Cecil as a punching bag maybe? Yeah, I have no idea. All in all, Mahrez is a skip. His best buff is behind a condition too hard to fulfill, and at that point, why even take him then? Even his A4, which looks interesting, in the end wasn't too useful in JP, as I've heard. So keep your rubies. Thanks for watching.